What else?
Once Upon a Time, it was Grease.
Yeah, I feel like Grease has been cancelled.
The songs are
Grease
bangers,
is creepy.
but watching it back now, it's terrible.
Yeah, awful.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
What, sexism? Or just
All of the isms.
All of the isms.
Yeah.
We're talking about John Travolta's one.
Yeah. You do not want to
Grease.
rewatch Grease. Listen to the soundtrack for sure.
Yeah. There's a karaoke session every Friday here in town. And then the lady who runs it, they're lovely people. She's a religious lady and the guy is amazing, Nick and Kataraina. And Nick is a truck driver and they do a lot of like massive work with the community. They're awesome. We saw them in Waitangi. We went to Waitangi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys about that. That was cool. And he told me, oh, we're doing the sound. It's going to be cool. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I love singing. So I just go, sometimes it's empty, but I just love going and, decompressing, screaming. And then his wife told me, oh, do you want to sing a song with me? I'm like, yeah. What do you want to sing? And she's like, oh, I don't know. Let's do like, Tell Me More. How's the name?
Summer Lovin'.
Summer Lovin'. I'm like, yeah, Summer Lovin'. Man, I don't know the lyrics, right? So I'm reading the lyrics. The guy, Nick, by mistake or not, he puts like a censored, like a version that someone, maybe a rock and roll band, made a version of the song. Yeah. It's all like, it's dodgy. And then I'm singing with his partner and we're looking at each other kind of like, and we didn't want to read the lyrics, but very explicit, like big time explicit. What? So we're trying to remember the lyrics to sing, and he couldn't pick up because he was behind the thing. He was not paying attention to the lyrics. And then he clicked, then he looked and he was like, oh shit, should I stop? And I'm like, man, now we're halfway through. Like, just let us sing this.
Tell me more.
Yeah, just don't film it.
Just don't film it. Go on the screen, go on my face. Go on the screen, go on my face.
Oh, man.
But cool, interesting what you guys said about like, don't watch it back, because so makes me think, what are we doing now that it's going to be cringe in a few years, or inappropriate?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going to be the next wave of cringe?
This.
ALTBAYS podcast. Then we're going to be famous, finally.
Yeah.
In 30 years.
Yeah. Oh, don't watch that.
Oh my God.
Is there any part of the film, Donny, that for you was like, God damn, or did you watch it back or just by remembering it?
I enjoyed it as a kid. I really enjoyed it. So to watch it back as an adult is so disappointing. So disappointing, especially the scene in the car at the drive-in movie. Very, very creepy.
Very non-consensual.
Very non-consensual. Very much so, yeah. I mean, everything about it is so outdated and bigoted, but it just sucks that the soundtrack slaps so hard.
So good, yeah.
Because it's just like, I don't know, there's such a divide in my heart.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can make anything good by adding the Bee Gees to it.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, they haven't been cancelled.
One by one.
That's dark, bro.
We're getting there. Oh man, how you guys, both of you, and I guess your group of friends and the bands that you guys play with, you guys take that very seriously, right?
Yeah,
like
very
looking
seriously.
after people, making sure that everyone is happy with what's going on and respectful. And
Yeah, very much so.
has it always been like that? So it's been a journey.
Oh, fuck no. Oh my God, no. It has been horrendous. I mean, speaking from my own personal perspective, being a young queer woman in the music scene has not been very easy. There's been a lot of barriers, a lot of limitations, a lot of hateful behaviour and speech, and really just generally unsafe places and events. It's been, a little bit heartbreaking, a little bit traumatic.
And there's a thing with being rock and roll that people think it's all right, eh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
It's kind of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, party man, whatever. Yeah, it's like I'm I have way more faith and hope in the new scene that's coming through. Like, we're definitely modelling much better behaviour, and it is coming through because now the younger scenes are holding that on their own, like without our support. I think it's coming in hot. Compared, the progress is just like exponential, in my personal experience.
Would you guys put that on social media and the way that information is just disseminated faster and we have access to more things?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, definitely plays a huge role.
Yeah, and just each small scene holding safe spaces for people, I think. Once people are a part of that and once space is held for you and it is safe and you feel welcomed into that space, I think you want to replicate that elsewhere. So I think, yeah, little shitty gigs, I think, have a lot to say for that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more people who are putting together spaces or bands or venues or collectives or whatever projects that are consciously creating a culture as like one of the very first things that they do. It's like, what are we doing, why are we doing it, and how are we doing it, and how are we going to carry that and hold that and, like continue to evolve with that, I suppose. Because it's all very well and good being like, oh, hey, like, we're not about that here. But, like, are you actually holding that? Are you actually putting that into practice? Are you calling people out? Like, are you actually creating a safe space?
Donny, because probably you get to observe more because you're in the front line, like you put the position that you are, it's a vulnerable one, like, and you're putting yourself out there. Like, what are the things that really upset people that most of the time people don't even realize that they are being sexist or they are offending you? It's just like a societal thing that people will still hold on to.
I find recently...
Sorry, thank you. No, you're good.
Recently, one of the hard things to process is people taking up too much space.
Yeah.
How do I put that? I'd just like to see people who are more diverse and potentially more vulnerable being able to take up space. That's huge. Like, you walk into a gig, like a slumbug gig, and, it's 90% of it is, like, cishet dudes. Like, big dudes is, like, can be very, very intimidating, even if you have decided to go out to be there and to be who you are. And so I think it's important to kind of create that space for people who aren't going to create it for themselves and help people hold that space. Like, I think, and not just in terms of like physical space, obviously, but
because it has that thing. So for the people listening who don't know about your bands, let's talk about Slumbug first.
Yeah, context.
Context. We're talking about like heavy music, right? Yeah. Rock, heavy metal. Like how would you describe? Punk.
I love the whole like subgenre conversation because it's just gotten like ridiculous. It's like, yeah, I play skronk, like, or I'm like a scraggly kind of gal, and they're like, oh yeah. We're very like sludge, doomy, I don't know, just heavy and angry about things that we have every right to be angry about.
Yes.
And so those scenes, less so now, but they've always been male-dominated scenes.
Yeah.
For a long time. And so, yeah, it's not been easy. Certainly getting easier. Even like the typical like first 3 years of Slumbug, like we were quite young as well when we first hit the scene. It was like 15, 17 and 19.
Wow.
Playing a lot of all ages shows, and it was very much the comment that has like stuck with me so hard is like, oh, they're pretty good for a bunch of girls. Yeah. I'm like, cool.
See, so that's an example of what I asked you before. I feel like people who would say that they don't mean bad, but it's such a, it's just a saying. Yeah, it's so bad.
It's a compliment to them.
Yeah. And the like ignorance around it is like infuriating. Like to receive a compliment like that is just infuriating. Yeah. Like it just totally devoids and destroys the whole intention that they had. Like, it's so backhanded.
Right. Do you feel like so the change is that I don't know if the word is obligation, but like do you feel like it's part of what you do to, let's say, educate people, or you just hope that by doing what you're doing, people will understand and catch up with it? Unfortunately, it's a slow burner, eh? But like, what's the role of the artist? Because the art speaks a lot, but do you have to explain as well?
That's such a hard one, like, and it's very, yeah, totally depends on, you know, individual context and that. But I'm a pretty fierce believer in, like, it's not my job to educate you, bro. Like, that is not my job. Like, I'm already up against so many obstacles that you just don't even know exist, and it's kind of infuriating. But I've found personally the way that I counter that is by going completely the other way, ignoring all the dude bro rhetoric and all the bigoted, hateful, sexist, misogynistic, whatever the fuck, and just going straight to how can I inspire vulnerable youth to, you know, step into this amazing creative space in a wholesome way and like hold their own culture. How can I role model how the scene should be, how it should, like, you know, yeah, I had a terrible experience and it was really unsafe and lots of like shitty stuff happened. How do I make sure that doesn't happen for the next generation? How do they make sure that they're going to be okay and they're not going to go through the experiences that I went through, you know? And so like doing things like, you know, teaching music at one of the local primary schools, you know, like it's like one-to-one direct influence. You know, I feel more impactful in that space. Or, you know, being on the board and working at To the Front, which is an amazing program that inspires young women, trans, intersex and gender diverse youth to express themselves through music, and, you know, providing resources and tools to people to do that in a safe way without having to deal with all the shit. Yeah.
Bro, for you as a man in that scene, I guess a lot of the times there's a bit of peer pressure. You know, you with your bros, and then I think you are, I won't say lucky, but you attract what you are. So you are from the band Dix, which is an amazing, incredible band from the Coromandel. Yeah.
Three silly boys from Thames.
Dix, who think alike, who support each other. So I guess if you are in a space that something doesn't align with what you guys believe, you would all go together, which is powerful, which is good. You hold an opinion there. But what I wanted to say about the peer pressure is sometimes you're in a space that someone will throw a joke, and having that thing to say it, to stand up for what you believe, can be challenging at times, eh?
Yeah. I mean, we started out playing pubs, local small town pubs, so there was a lot of that. The culture there was pretty gnarly. And I think to begin with, we just sort of let a lot of things slide. I think now we're a bit more fierce about it. But yeah, it's hard because it's an uncomfortable feeling to call people out on things. Not only for yourself, but other people around you. It can make everyone uncomfortable, and you're constantly weighing up whether or not it's a teachable moment or not, or whether it's better to just let it slide and maybe tackle that some other way. But it's tough, and it's something that I still struggle with all the time. Even living in a community where there's a large retirement population, where sometimes you'll get pretty astounding things thrown at your face from older generations, that you have to have this split second of, is it worth me saying anything right now, or should I just let it go? And I don't know, hopefully the next generation will take things up, but it's hard. It's really hard to hold that and hold those spaces. And not hold spaces for those sorts of people.
And again, because I strongly believe that a lot of the times, older people, they don't mean bad. You know, like they would never do something to hurt you, but like it's just how they were brought up, and they say those things, and then you're in that position of like, do I call an older person out? Like, you know, like
a lot of the time I'll just drop the, what do you mean by that?
Let them talk.
Once they unfold it, you realize they don't mean anything bad. It's just conditioning, or they realize themselves that what they're saying actually doesn't make sense.
Nice, yes.
Yeah, so that's my weapon that I use. It's just, what do you mean by that? And that usually unmuddies the water a little bit. Yeah.
And working with youth, I guess there's a cool thing there because they're fresh, so you can put a lot of the ideas, but you also have to be aware that there's the education coming from home, which is the strongest one. And how is that for you guys? Do you both work with young people? Or it's more you,
Mostly
Donny?
Jessica, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly.
How long has it been?
I've done the teaching at the school for the last 2 years, and been on the board at To the Front for the last 2 years. But I've
Board of the, what's the name again?
To the Front.
To the Front.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, an amazing organisation. They run workshops and one-off events and all sorts of things throughout the year, all through the country. So I'm mostly involved in Tamaki Makoto.
Cool.
Which is great. They do an amazing camp every January. I say camp. It's like a 5-day intensive sort of education program, and then they have this showcase at the end. So they can come in and they could never have touched an instrument in their life and just kind of like the idea of it. They get set up in a band. They get taught how to play an instrument. They go to things like, DIY merch workshops or finding your voice or how to use a synthesizer, like all this cool, amazing stuff that people have like generously gifted their time and skills to do. And they get together with people that sometimes have never met. It's quite an intense, week for them, especially at that age, and they get together, they write a song, they collaborate, they do a lot of teamwork, and then at the end of the week they go down to the tuning fork, like full-on professional,
cool,
and host a gig and play this song that they wrote this week with an instrument they potentially have never picked up, with people they've potentially never met, in front of all of their friends and family. And it is magical. It is like transformative. Everyone's like crying, and it's just the most amazing thing, because it's just, for most of us working there, it's what we needed when we were that age, and it's just, it's honestly life-changing.
Is it a public service? Is it private? How do people access the To the Front?
So it's, you can just enroll online and attend as a camper. And they have lots of one-off workshops throughout the year as well, doing all sorts of things. They also have like a pathways program, like an internship type thing, and it's partnered with SAE, the Audio Institute in Auckland. So they get to, use a full-on studio, and all the gear, and it's such an amazing experience, especially at that age. And they are really, they're so fierce and so brave, because they're expressing themselves, they're being vulnerable with each other, they're collaborating with people, they're learning how to work with people and express their feelings and, be really vulnerable on a huge level. And it's I really respect them, and it's so inspiring. I always come back from camp and I'm like, I want to join 5 bands, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And it's just one of my favourite things that I do.
Where did you guys grow up?
I was Turua.
Turua?
Yeah, just out on the plains outside of Thames.
Yeah?
I'm a city girl.
City girl.
Yeah, I grew up in Mount Eden.
Oh, cool. I lived there for 10 months.
10 months.
Yeah, was when I arrived. It was when I arrived in New Zealand.
I mean, it's great being that close to the city, and everything's there, and but it was way too fast paced for me. Yeah, way too stressful. There's no way that I would have the capacity to do all of the passion projects that I do now here in that setting, living that life. There's just no way.
Tell me a bit about growing up in Turua and the changes from the time you grew up and what's happening now, bro.
There's a lot of sheep and cows, but we had an old shed that we could make as much noise in, so we always had old instruments. I've got a pretty musical family. Always had a piano in the lounge and guitars everywhere. So we made our own fun, because the neighbour, the nearest friend I had was a good sort of 10 kilometres away from me. So it was, so I did the normal thing where I got to end of high school and got out of there, moved straight to Auckland. I'm sick of this place, going to the city. And I lasted about 2 years in Auckland and hated it, and came back to Thames and settled there, and I haven't been anywhere since. This is my first time out.
Out in Whitianga. Good night out in Whitianga.
But no, that was about 15 years ago now that I moved back to Thames, and yeah, making a life there.
Making a life there.
Yeah.
And you did the other way. So you were in the city, came to Thames.
Yeah, so I've been in Thames, 5-6 years? Yeah. Yeah, I finished my degree.
Gone. So you guys like a bit slower pace, but it's still, because what I see here for us, like doing what we're doing here, there are a lot of untapped spaces when you're in a small town. There's the possibility to create new things and to start cool things. Do you guys see it like that, or is more about the lifestyle? And
the lifestyle is good.
Lifestyle's great.
Yeah, I like the slower lifestyle. But yeah, there's so much opportunity, and especially recently seeing more younger people move into Thames, it feels like it's about to go through another boom again, which is nice. So we just try and hold space for anyone that's open to do anything creative in our community. Anything at all, in the arts especially. If we can hold space for gigs, we'll do that however we can. It's a bit tough finding venues. But
so you guys had a venue before, right? The green room, is that right?
Yeah, we had the back room.
The back room.
So the back room was out the back of Lotus Realm, and mostly folky sort of gigs there. That went well. COVID hit and things sort of folded around then. And then coming out of COVID, we opened up the green room, which was just like a collaborative space for the community, and had some good gigs there. You guys played at the green room?
Yeah. Corrosive Moses played there. It was amazing.
Yep, you played our last gig.
It was it.
Yeah.
We were so gutted. We were like, how can you guys be closing?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
So for the people, because I can see how much drive you guys have, and you also running a business, which we're gonna touch on, like the challenges of running a business. But I think for the people who are listening, they're like, okay, these guys are talking about a creative space, and like, how do you eat? Do you make money out of those events? Like, how does that part play for someone who wants to do that? They see the potential in the community, they identify all the creative little hubs, and they want to put people together, but they fear that's gonna be hard, and it is hard. But like, can you guys take me through that, all the parts that not many people see?
Yeah, I think running a venue in any part of New Zealand is difficult.
Yeah, you have to be running on like pure passion and expect nothing in return. It is like that. That sounds really dire. That sounds off-putting. Please, people, open some venues, please. But that's the way it is, and the way it has been for quite some time. Like, running a venue is a really, really hard job, and it's a very multifaceted job. It's like a full-time job. We're lucky enough that we've chosen a lifestyle in Thames that is, we don't cost a lot to run, right? We live really simple. Yeah. And that kind of allowed us to take a couple of leaps of faith and open a venue, start a music shop, like these crazy things that I never thought we would have the opportunity to do. But I shouldn't say that. There's actually quite a bit of support in terms of resources and a little bit of funding if you're trying to do these creative projects. There is help out there. And
what are they? Like Creative New Zealand, Creative Coromandel, or just local? Yep,
Creative New Zealand is a really good one. Creative Coromandel, which I'm on the board of. And also there's other amazing organisations throughout New Zealand that do fund and support projects like that. Things like Music Helps, Recorded Music and APRA, they do a lot for various projects in the community as well. It is like, can seem like an intimidating sphere to get into, like the more sort of music industry, like the business, the funding, the like paperwork heavy, admin heavy stuff. But there is actually a lot of support and a lot of resources to get into that realm and get into that way of thinking and operate in those spheres. That it is there. It's sometimes not obvious, but that is something that is sort of part of trying to inspire our local creative community. Like, I'm always kind of putting my hand up, like, you know, how can we, I mean, you know, our capacity is only so big, but how can we help? Like, if you want to do something and you've got the drive and passion, that is actually all you need. The rest of the support is there. It is there. It's just sometimes not obvious.
Right. And then the names, Josh, or are there other things that help? The promotion, the acts that you bring?
Yeah. Yes.
That come.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's my passion around that lies around promoting these gigs and making sure that the artists themselves have a great time. Which has always been. That's why we settled on the name The Green Room, because for us, every gig that we've played, where we've had the experience where you come to a gig and there's a space to put your gear, there's food for you, and you're looked after, the hospitality is on point, and you will play the best gig that you've ever played because of that. And so we wanted to replicate that with the Green Room and have that sort of thing where we made sure that everyone was fed, everyone was looked after, kind of like what you guys do here. And if people's bellies are full and they're feeling welcomed into the space, then they play a good show, and if the band's happy, then the crowd's happy, and that was our whole drive behind that.
Tell me some cool bands you guys brought. Corrosive Moses.
Yep. Yep. So we'll start from the bottom up.
You go.
We've had some great international bands. We had Schizophonics. They were amazing. Guitar Wolf from Japan.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, they're always a great show. Who else do we have there?
Daniel Champagne.
Daniel Champagne.
Cool.
Amazing musician from Australia. Some great Kiwi bands there. I think you guys played with Halftime.
Yep.
They're amazing.
Big shout out to Halftime.
Yeah, I love Halftime.
Is Halftime the one from Tauranga? The boat guy? I love that singer. I think
That was Hoik.
Oh,
Hoik. We gotta bring that singer.
Another
We had such a good chat with him. He's
Joel,
amazing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hoik. The Halftime was the closing act. They were the one who were releasing a video clip, I think, or something.
Yeah, and they use a lot of Te Reo Māori songs.
Right, that was the first band.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember now?
Really
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing amazing.
They
things.
opened for Idols.
Oh
They did,
my god,
right?
that was
Like
surreal.
a couple weeks after that.
Did you guys go?
Yeah.
Yes, we went. Oh,
Shit.
Possibly one of the best gigs of my life.
I've seen
Yeah.
them live at the one before at the town hall.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was amazing. But then they came back not long after. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, and with Halftime opening was sick.
Yeah. Especially like pre-election.
Yeah. Right. Idols is one of those bands, that it's a great example of what we were talking about before, right? It's the classic stereotype of rock and roll, dirty, heavy. But when you listen carefully, it's pure activism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then each of them individually are amazing people as well that are just, doing things completely different from everyone else.
Shout out to Idols.
Yeah,
Come to the
Idols.
ALTBAYS next time in Aotearoa. You're coming so much. Yeah. Let's go. Let's do it. Right. Any bands that you wish you had brought, or you still on your list that you want to... Because you guys haven't stopped. I'm sure there will be something cooking for cool venues. So
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of favourite New Zealand bands that I would definitely love to bring to Thames soon.
Yeah, I mean, we do tend to focus on New Zealand a lot. Focus on underground, focus on local. And there are some seriously amazing musicians like around here and around the country who really deserve to take up space. Like, they deserve a stage, they deserve a crowd. Like, yeah. And Halftime is one of those. Big one.
Halftime, Hoik, for sure.
great band.
Yeah. Hagseed.
Hagseed, Deb 5000. Yeah. Yeah, there's some great bands around there.
Yeah.
And just encourage everyone to just put a shitty punk band together. Yell about things you don't like. Yell about things you do like.
Like,
just organise.
we can do it. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. It's so much fun.
It's
and
fun.
it's pretty cheap therapy.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear a lot about mental health is a hot topic in New Zealand, right? And that's just my personal take from someone who's been living here for 11 years now. I acknowledge everyone's problems 100%, but like, because there's not a massive risk of actual misery and poverty, you know, of course there is, it exists, but like, it's not like an extreme thing of like, you know, like we're miserable in the shit. The country where I'm from, like you are at that risk. So people are always on the run. They're always doing stuff. And then when I come to small communities and I see how people are living, I feel like a lot of those mental health issues is because they're not doing the punk rock band or going to the skate park or going some, you know. And you're right. And then I tell people, I'm like, I also have my shit, but like I go on those drums and I hit them so hard and I scream. I go to the karaoke thing and I do that. Yeah. And then I feel more refreshed. And I feel like sometimes it's just that lack of understanding of someone coming and saying, hey man, you can go hard and chill. Again, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not minimizing problems, because for some people it's way harder because of what happened in life, whatever. But a lot of the times it's just finding that outlet, hey?
The creative outlet.
Channel that energy, turn something that could be quite destructive into literally creating something out of how you're feeling. Like that's like the definition of magic. That's crazy. Like, you know, you could be holding feelings inside that could be so self-destructive and just be like poisoning you from the outside. You could write a song about it and all of a sudden you've created something beautiful while at the same time channeling something that could have been really, really bad for you. And now you've made something that people can relate to. People can like feel heard or seen or participate in and like scream your lyrics or like, you know, thrash that riff. Like that's so cool. That's the peak. Like, you've cracked it.
Yes. And I think even from a non-creative point, like sort of non-art space, there's a lot of people that will get a lot from just organising the events themselves. And that's a thing in its own, like seeing something that you've put together and seeing people come together to unite over music or art. That's something amazing. That's an outlet in itself as well. Just, organising.
Yeah, there's so many facets within, like, even just like putting on a gig setting, or like music in general is like quite a small scope, like even, you know, audio engineering or production or literally cutting vinyl in effect. Like, you know, like there's so many facets to.
And I mean, we just hit 120 gigs that we put on in Thames. Wow. Just recently.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad for a small town.
And there is not a single one of those gigs that I haven't been completely stressed out at the entire time, the whole way through. And then the next day I'm looking back on it and I'm like, oh, I'm glad we did that. I'm so happy.
Yeah, when's the next one?
And I get the feeling afterwards, at the time, I hate it. Yeah. I'm having the worst time of my life. And then the next day, I'm just feeling the best I've felt in years. Yeah.
There's power in going through struggles, going through like hard times. Like it does pay off, right? It's the same for us. Like, wow, this is so stressful, man. Putting a magazine out every month, and then you look at it, and then you come to the beautiful music shop in Thames, and you guys are like, oh, this is so pretty. And I'm like, I know, you know, like, because it was hard, and then you appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, very stressful. Very stressful, very worth it.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Okay, another cool thing that I noticed that you guys are always plugging and you know, paying attention to is the indigenous cause in the country, you know, the Maori cause. I loved it because I was telling you before, we went to Waitangi. We had this beautiful opportunity to go with Lachlan from the Aotearoa History and Uncle Tix. So we were all together. It was cool. We got to meet Tameiti's whānau. We were part of the activation, the protest, and Hauraki came to the show, so we were part of that one as well. You know, like just getting to know all those beautiful people. And then I remember that there was a show that someone said, oh, you guys bring people from the right, from the left, but like you tend more to the left. And I'm like, regardless of what I have as a political view, you should never say that the Maori cause, it's a political thing. It's a humanitarian cause,
Yep.
you know? Like, so if you don't want to talk about the problems that Aotearoa is facing because you fear that you're being political and you should not, I think you should check your values, because we're talking about humans, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about people, and especially the people who were here before
Yeah.
the whites, right? So just putting that across. For you guys who grew up here, went to school, how was the education system? Like, was it part of the curriculum? Like, were you guys introduced and presented to Maori, or it was a bit more, I don't know if the word is tokenistic, but it was more a bit of like, oh, learn the words, learn, like how it was from how you see things now as an adult?
It was definitely tokenistic for me, but it wasn't seen as that at the time, which is thoroughly disappointing, and what I would give to have had actual history taught to me. History was always one of my favourite things at school, and then to find out years later that you were taught wrong, it's pretty disappointing. But yeah, definitely much more tokenistic. And coming from a small little farm school as well, where it was just non-existent a lot of the time. Yeah.
I mean, my experience on like the second biggest school in New Zealand was much the same. And 5 years later too, like we got taught about te tiriti, but just one side of it. And I think we did that once in intermediate, once in high school, and then I did it again once when I went to university. But it was very one-sided, very condensed, very much we have to just do this, okay, and now it's done. And got the whole like, oh, New Zealand's a young country, we don't really have any history, carry on, move on. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. We did a lot of our educating ourselves post-education system.
Our school was, because it was Hauraki Pains College, where a lot of it was really glamorised the pioneers. That's what it was all around, and how well they dug out the swamps in the Hauraki area and turned them from these beautiful wetlands into the dairy farms that they are now. And that was absolutely glorified and glamorised, and everything we did to be like the pioneers and be like these hard-working people that did this to transform, this beautiful area into what it is now. And that was, I think most of our curriculum was based around that. Our school rules and everything was based around the pioneers and how great the pioneers were, and nothing before that. As the pioneers arrived and then history began. It's basically how it was looked upon.
I mean, your school was right down the road from Cook's Landing, was it?
Yeah, classic. Yeah.
Classic Cooks.
Nice big statue,
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, what do you lose by telling the story, the real story, and
Privilege.
And lifting? Goddamn. See you next week. Fucking hell. Bring Josh back. It's shit, eh? Yeah. It's horrible, because like it would make much more sense for a nation that acknowledges everyone, right?
Yep.
Make people rise, man. Bring people together. But you're right. It's the privilege. How is that saying in New Zealand? So many people mention on the show, not in my backyard. Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Good for everybody, but not here.
Yeah. I think even on a tourism point of view, I went somewhere like China and everyone was just speaking English, I'd be gutted. Oh, it's just the same. There's nothing different. There's no, the difference in culture, that's the flavour that we look for in life, and it's the exciting thing.
And something that makes this place really unique.
Yeah, why are we not more proud of that?
Yeah. It's, outrageous. Disappointing.
And then you go to some countries and you idolize, you love the bilingual sign.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep,
But not in my
absolutely.
backyard.
but not here.
Yeah.
Come on, Aotearoa. Come on, I know you can. You let me in. Come on.
Yeah, that's still questionable. Letting you in.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
100%. And like when it's good for the country to allow people in, then obviously it's fine. You know, the conditions that people are going through to stay. Man, having to fill out immigration forms and applications, like it's something that everyone should go through in life once, you know, just to feel how it is to having to explain your character, you know, like to having to explain who you are, your intentions, and what you're doing, and getting letters from people. Like it humbles you like big time. I understand why because it can play the other way. It can feed anger if you're an angry person. I understand, you know, but it really puts you like puts things into perspective of like, wow, it doesn't matter how much of a, you know, Christian or whatever or Buddhist I am, like people will doubt your character on the line of the world map that you were born, you know, like yeah, man.
Yeah, I filled out a few witness forms for that. There's like a character reference for people, and looking at it and seeing that it just comes down to just black and white, yes or no sort of things is, it's dark that we're letting people in on those things alone.
And it's wild that you have to go through that much process for that. But getting a gun license is really easy. Like buying a death machine, easy.
Yeah. And there's also investors visas. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh.
Yeah. So there are.
Of course there are.
Yeah, of course. yeah. So like amount of money and what you do and what you. I understand like that they ask for things that are like bringing value to a community. Yep. You know, there's a lot of boxes to tick on that as well, but clearly it means that the money it's buying your way in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Have you guys been overseas? Like, do you do traveling? Have you guys been out of the country?
Too busy.
Busy, man.
Too busy. Too many commitments here. Hey.
Too many cool gigs in Aotearoa.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the bands to come to us.
Yeah, we'll do it the other way around.
Yeah.
What were the last ones? I'll just get you another drink. What were the latest ones that you guys have been to?
Oh, the latest gigs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most recent
we went to the yacht club and we saw Off. That was so cool.
Yeah, Off.
Yeah. Supported by like 6 different great Kiwi bands as well.
Yep.
So who was playing there? Sorry.
Off.
Yeah,
punk band. The original singer from Black Flag before Henry Rollins. His band. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was the original? Oh, the guy with the big hair. Is that him?
Yeah, big hair guy.
I think I saw a document. I think I saw a doco or something on. What was his name? Do you remember?
No, we were just talking about him today too.
Good bands. Was it good?
Yeah, it was
Great.
7 bands, I think.
Yeah,
playing.
they had the outdoor stage, indoor stage. You know, it was amazing. Yacht club's great.
Always good, eh?
Yeah.
Always good there.
Yeah. Very high energy, especially because it was like a Sunday night or something. It was
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of great venues still spaced out around New Zealand. Yacht Club's definitely one of them. Last Place in Hamilton was great.
Last Place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totara Street and Jam Factory in Tauranga, or under the Tauranga Harbour Bridge. Pretty sick.
Yep.
Shop Tauranga music sucks.
Yeah.
Do you feel like people? Do you guys feel like people go, like they travel to go to those gigs, or it's mainly people from the area because the yacht brings big names like some so it becomes a hub, eh? Like people go.
Yeah, and because that's semi-central for some people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's 2 hours from Auckland, and Hamilton's like an hour away. There's a lot of Tauranga bands playing at that show.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
So it's central enough. And I think Auckland as well, people will travel for Auckland gigs.
Yeah, and I think some of like, when you break the scene down into like genres, sometimes you kind of have to travel and have to collaborate city to city, because once you get down to certain genres, it's like, well, there's only like 20 bands in New Zealand doing that. So if you want to play a show that is quite genre specific, then you gotta kind of rally together and get people to travel.
And I think we've seen a sort of mixing of the scenes in New Zealand now. I can remember, when I was younger and then turning 18, going to gigs that were, just hardcore punk gigs or just punk gigs, just metal gigs. And now we'll go to a gig that's got a whole mess of all sorts of... Yeah. And I think that's the way it's had to evolve in New Zealand, just to, with a smaller population. Even some big like hardcore festivals have now become less about hardcore and more about just good
You
bands.
looking at
in the
anything
area.
in particular?
Oh, there you go. What have we got there?
Hamtown Smackdown.
Yeah.
So it's been running, 20 years now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
22, I think.
22.
Judging by that.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
That's definitely diversified a lot. Like, it used to be really, really just hardcore, eh?
Yeah.
But, I
And
mean,
now
like,
it's-
Slumbug played, and we are definitely not hardcore.
yeah.
Right.
But that's a pretty amazing annual event that happens in Kirikiriroa.
Shout out.
Yeah, run by a really great team of people. And they're really, really good at, it's all ages, which is amazing. Last couple we've been to have been at the Wintec, or like sort of part of the university campus. And they're great at creating spaces where all ages bands can come and play, and also just like, attend. Which is really, really cool in terms of accessibility, because all ages seen as like a whole nother sort of bubble that can get a little bit harder. Like, all ages venues, it's harder, when you have alcohol at a show, that makes things more difficult. And it's nice to create a culture where, like we tried to at the Green Room and did, of not having alcohol, not needing alcohol. Which I know is still kind of a hard thing with Kiwi culture. Like, people still feel more comfortable with a beer in their hand, or don't get to the level where they want to come out until they've had a 6-pack at home. Like, it's been a really hard one to break, and we even like noticed discomfort in people and being there who would normally be at a show with alcohol and like no worries, but just that, I don't know if it's like the whole social lubrication thing, if it's like a comfort, like. But it does really create a barrier with the youth if, there's alcohol there, or they just straight up can't attend.
Isn't it interesting how you create an age that you're allowed to, hoping, well, it's a game, right? But like, you're telling people, oh, no, you cannot. But then... you set those kids up for failure, because that's the only thing that they can wait to is the time that they can have a drink.
Yeah. And drinking culture in New Zealand is pretty shocking.
It's bad, eh?
It's bad.
Surprised me.
Yeah.
It did surprise me. We drink a lot in Brazil, but I don't know if it's because of the weather. There's definitely something to do with colonization and all that stuff, and the culture. There was a bigger mix of cultures because it's so massive, but you're drinking outside, you're having a chat, you're having food at the same time. Most of the time people want to move, people want to dance, so it's not the thing of like, let's go as hard as we can and let's drink as much as we can. And Taylor always brings something interesting to the table, which is like, it's a violent country, it's dodgy, you don't want to pass out in the streets, you might end up with all your wallets or your asshole or whatever, or an organ. I'm seriously, like, you don't want to make yourself vulnerable in some situations, so there's a lot of elements that play against that hard, fast. And another thing that I strongly disagree with is those cutoff times, like, it's 12:30, that's the peak of your night. That's when you're like, and then last call, and you're like,
it's send people out into the street when they're like that.
And it's not our problem anymore. Good luck.
Yeah. So you don't have yardies at your 21st?
No, not really. Nah.
It's a wild one.
It's a wild one, eh? And the one that I always found it fascinating was how do you call the day that you guys drink the box? The
Crate day.
Crate day. That's a lot of alcohol, eh, for one day. Like, it's a lot.
It's like, oh my God, it's ridiculously excessive. It's so self-destructive. And just like, I don't know.
And I mean, encouraging those sorts of behaviours like the yardie, you shouldn't be giving a 21-year-old kid that if you're also not going to serve it at a pub.
What's the yardie? Some people from a different country might be watching. So what do you do?
Big long thing of beer that
like a meter long.
Might be a liter or something like that probably.
Yeah, well, it's a yard.
It's a yard. Cool.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
That's helpful. It's not helpful to me. I don't know what a yard is. It's really long. It's full of beer. And
you have to scull it.
Scull the whole thing on your 21st birthday, and that's a tradition here. Yeah. But it seems odd that you do that on your 21st, but you couldn't walk into a pub in New Zealand and say, "Oh, a yard glass of beer, please." No one's ordering that.
It's like a weird, fucked up rite of passage.
Yeah. Every one of my mates turned 21, went to the party, watched them do that, and vomit and pass out, and not very often get back up again. See them the next day, and they'd miss out on the rest of their party. Just seemed, it's an odd tradition, that one.
It is.
Yeah.
And you have members of the family encouraging,
absolutely, yeah.
or even like making fun of you. Come on, toughen up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, I think our experiences in that have been a little different too. Like, I think the context of being in a smaller town or being rural, seems to be a bit fiercer. Like, growing up in town wasn't so bad, that culture. You know, like, nobody even suggested for me to do a yardie at my 21st. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, all of our 21st around us were always at, like, the rugby clubs or the local town hall. And it would just get hectic. So I brought one here tonight for you to do.
Yeah. Let's go. Man, my relationship with alcohol changed a lot in the past 7 years, I think. Yeah, because I worked with alcohol for a while. My parents, they had a function venue in Brazil for 25 years. So that was always a part of the party, you know, the alcohol, but never excessively because it was targeted for children. So it was birthday parties for children. But it was there. My parents don't drink. So that thing is similar. The one like turning 18, 19, like you start to drink quite a lot. You know, your mates someone is always driving, obviously not caring too much about how much they drink when they're driving. And then, you know, we would drink a lot. And the thing was the same. Or you drink before you get to the bar because it's going to be expensive, you know, but you still buy at the bar, you know, and that's one of the frustrating things for me. That's why I really appreciate what you guys were doing and still do of separating things, because it's frustrating that the thing that I put so much love into, which is my music, I'm playing for an intoxicated crowd that might not even pay attention to what I'm doing, you know, so started to pay attention to that. But then in New Zealand, I started working at bars as well. That was one of my first jobs. And I thought it was fine because I had that experience from Brazil. And I was not fine. I had to look after every single motherfucker because you guys couldn't. You know, I'm like, God damn, like, am I serving alcohol or am I babysitting? Like, what's going on? I couldn't believe it, but it was putting me off. It was putting me off. I didn't want to anymore, you know, because I was kind of making sure people were okay. And I stopped having fun. I'm like, dang. So, yeah, which was in a way, thank you, was good because I reduced drastically. And then it got to the point that I was like, I drink every now and then, but it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. By seeing how people get smashed, I was like, I don't know how sustainable is that, eh?
Yeah. I mean, I used to use it a lot for anxiety, especially when we were playing gigs. Have 5 or 6 beers in really quick succession right before going on stage, and then 3 more while I'm on stage, which was in excess at the time. I definitely don't need to do that anymore, but that was just calm my nerves. But at a point it got past the calming the nerves, and it was just horrendous. But yeah, like we definitely enjoyed playing to intoxicated crowds because they definitely enjoy you a lot.
They're
more.
fun, but not when they pass out. Not when they're passing out, right?
Absolutely. But you're the best band in the world if you're playing at anywhere past like 11:30 p.m. You're the greatest band in the world, and that's a good feeling. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it means you don't have to practice much. But yeah, absolutely. Like seeing the culture around it in New Zealand can be really disappointing and just ugly. Yeah, there's an ugly side of it for sure. Yeah, I think generations now seem to be a lot better. A lot of the younger kids we talk to now, their drinking's not a thing for them.
Do you think so, Donny?
I think so. Like the drinking culture we've all experienced, like I think for them, like that's super cringe. Like it is for me now, like that, like embarrassing and gross, and it makes people do weird things. Like it's just become cringe to be drunk. I think, you know, especially if you've got stuff that you're not dealing with and you're getting drunk and there's stuff spilling out and like weird behaviors and. You know, I think it's...
Singing explicit Grease songs.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, I think it's just alcohol's lost all sense of glamour. You know, like I think there used to be like, you know, when I was growing up and I was like sort of admiring famous musicians from like the 60s and 70s and that, and like there was a certain glamour about a bottle of Southern Comfort and a cigarette that just like is not there anymore at all.
And also the way that the whole world is changing, like about the way that we look at drugs, you know, like 20 years ago, you wouldn't have all these countries having weed, marijuana legalized or decriminalized, you know, so especially because nowadays we can travel much more and we can meet people from other countries. You know, our relationship with drugs and substances are changing. Yeah. So, massively. You know, it's not just the alcohol anymore. You know, like same with psychedelics nowadays. When I was young, psychedelic was like, oh, it's something that you go and you never come back. And nowadays you understand that all you want is to go and never come back. Fuck, get me out of here. God damn. You know, and then you watch great documentaries and doctors and beautiful, intelligent people saying, this is the real medicine. This is something that has been hidden from us from years, and people don't allow us to have access because we've been controlled by big pharmas and all the shit. So we have access to more information, and that's how I see alcohol kind of like, as you said, getting a bit of like a weird image because it's the accessible one. Yeah. It's the one that you can go and buy. You know, like you don't have to find out about it. It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're coming off the back of like a big religious hangover, which, you know, came with colonization as well, of deep repression where, you know, I went to a Catholic school originally in Auckland before we moved down to Tutua, and Catholic family, and, you know, everything is just guilt and shame. Just don't do that. That's wrong. It's naughty. You're a naughty boy. Don't do that. Don't drink. Don't do the drugs. It's all naughty. And I think we see time and time again repression does not work well, because when it eventually bursts out of the seams, it can go really, really bad. And I remember my first time trying weed when I was a teenager and thinking, oh, this isn't so bad. This isn't as evil as I've been taught my entire life. And then immediately gave the mindset of, what else have I been lied to about? So I went on a journey for years of let's try all the things and see what they're all like. And I think that's been repression, just having everything pushed down for so long. And then having the opportunity, once you're free of that, as an adult, to do whatever you choose, and just going wild on everything, and it's not a good thing. Whereas, you know, if I'd had the education growing up to know what really happens with those things, what they can really do, it wouldn't have been a big issue. But it ended up being quite a big issue for me for a number of years, which, you know, I'm on the other side of now, which is great. But, yeah, repression.
Big one.
Yep.
And a lack of education, not having that information freely available. I mean, we live in an age now where you can get your drugs tested for you. That is amazing. Like, that is serious harm reduction. That's seriously cool.
When you guys sent me your bio, you added your pronouns to it, and it's something that, again, every now and then pops up in the show. Some people understand, some people don't understand. For the people who don't understand, there's a classic talk of it's the why. Why? Right? Why? And then I know you're not here to educate people, but intelligent people like you guys, you know, like people who are doing the mahi. How do we send that message across? You know, that is like, it's not because it's not a thing for you, that it doesn't mean that it's not for someone else. Like, how is that journey to explain that things are changing to someone?
For me, I think there's like two really important points. One is, it's not about you. This isn't about you. And the second one being just having kindness and empathy and respect for another human being within that conversation or confrontation around gender. I mean, you don't get to decide anybody's gender and what difference. It shouldn't make any difference to you. If you're like approaching another person as a human being, kindness, respect, listen. Like, it's not. There's no reason to be coming at them for any. Like, you may have your own thoughts and ideas, but that is a human being you're talking to. You know, a little bit of kindness, a little bit of understanding can go a really long way in those conversations. I think people are very quick to put their ideas and opinions and judgments before the fact that they're just interacting with another human being. Like, it can get kind of depersonalized or, I don't know, unhuman sometimes, those conversations. I find it very unusual and kind of fascinating, but mostly aggravating.
And if you can do anything to make another person's experience a little better, fuck yeah, why not?
Yeah, why make anybody's life harder? Life's hard, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the because when like you were saying, when you are doing your thing, you kind of forget that there's a whole half or more or less of the population that is thinking the opposite. So it's an exercise for me, because we're doing what we're doing, to listen to people with different opinions and even bringing them to have conversations, because conversations are powerful, you know, like sometimes it melts that ice a little bit and then something comes up. But I feel like it's the fear for their children most of the time, is that thing of like, oh, but are you indoctrinating my children? What are you doing? And in a way goes back to what you mentioned about religion. It's interesting because, you know, it's that fear. It's probably something that people who don't understand that they cannot deal with their own issues, and they are already projecting, they're already afraid for the children, but the children are way ahead of them. Like, you know, when the kids are teenagers, it will be so common for them.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's upsetting, because some people are very staunch and most of them are powerful.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all empathy.
Yeah.
It's all empathy based. It's just, yeah, like I said, if you can respect someone, why not? Yeah, if you want to be known as something, that's cool, and I'll do my best to respect that. And I think that goes with a lot of things. You know, even with music, people will make music that I don't particularly like, and I'm not going to stop them from doing it. Like, it's a beautiful thing that they're doing, and they're expressing themselves. We shouldn't stop people expressing themselves in any way. Fuck it.
Live your life.
Fuck it. Be nice.
Be nice.
Just be nice, man.
Just be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice to people. Oh, you guys are nice. You guys are cool.
Oh, you're pretty nice.
Pretty nice. When is that vinyl coming out?
Ooh, that's the hot question. I keep getting roasted.
It's the hot question for the last, 6 years?
Don't even. Oh, man. Even like we bumped into a friend in New Plymouth the other day. And he's like, oh, how's the album going? And I'm like, yeah, we're on the final mix. And he's like, looks me dead in the eyes. He's like, you said that to me a year ago. Oh, it was cutting. So cutting. But no, I swear, we're on the final mixes, you guys. Final mixes.
Congratulations.
9 tracks, all original. Worked really hard, really, really proud.
Slumbug.
Slumbug, yeah.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
For the people
Absolutely.
keen to pursue that in Aotearoa, New Zealand, what's the name of the company that is doing the vinyls you told me before the show?
Holiday Records.
Holiday Records.
So yeah, we are pretty blessed to have a vinyl pressing plant in New Zealand. That's an amazing industry to support if you can. I think it's pretty amazing. And we had it recorded at the Vault with the amazing Cosy B, Kiara, who ran the Vault, which is an amazing all-ages venue in multiple areas around Auckland Central.
Wow, cool.
And she's an amazing audio engineer, works at SAE,
Probably
works
one
at
of the
front.
best human beings in the music industry at the moment.
Shout out to Cozy
Yeah,
B.
big shout out to Cosy B. Yeah, all hail Cosy B. Yeah, all round amazing human being. And yeah, she has worked really, really fucking hard to help us get this album happening. Because if it was left up to just Slumbug, who knows? You know, like we're not the most. What's a nice word? We're just a little bit sluggish. You know, we're just kind of like doing our own thing, milling around. You know. So,
But there's a whole marketing plan behind that has to be looked after.
Yeah.
By, what's the name?
Cozy B.
Cozy B.
Cozy B.
Shout out Cozy B.
That's who you should have on next.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I think I have a list to ask you guys for some cool contacts to bring
Cool.
to the show.
Okay. Done.
Congratulations. and the Zix, what's coming up? Any
I think we'll still probably just play a few, stick to the live shows and keep playing around New Zealand. Yeah, doing our same thing, playing shitty little punk gigs in shitty little towns. Do what we've been doing for the last 8 or 9 years.
Have you got a song about that? Shitty little things, and shitty little
Not
towns.
yet.
That's a good name.
We'll see how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep doing our thing. Yeah.
And we haven't talked about it. We talked about so many cool things, but I just want to touch on the music shop.
Of course.
If you guys can take me through the journey and give a shout out to tell people how to find you guys and support your work there.
Yeah, Garden Music in Thames, our little independent music shop. At the moment, we're 9-10 months in.
Yeah.
Taking over from what used to be Lotus Realm, which was an institution in Thames. So we were managing the music shop there, and unfortunately when they closed last year, we took on all the music gear and opened our own little shop. There's not many independent music shops left in New Zealand, so don't just support us, but support any independent music shop you can find. There's a lot of big chains making it hard, as they do with every business, but yeah, it's the little ones that matter.
Yeah. And we're the only music shop in the whole of the Coromandel. So,
Wow.
yeah. Trying to do our part.
There you go. Tapping into small gigs as well.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to have little gigs there. We've got Paulie Barner-Jones coming up on the 17th of March.
Absolute legend.
And yeah, keep selling guitars.
Yeah. And we do a lot of services too. Like we like to look after people's instruments, do, restrings, lower action, things like that. We love to support people doing anything with music, whether it's just like, how do I play a B minor better? Or, what distortion pedal is right for me. Like we're not, just in there for the money and the sales and the grind, like we're there to support our creative community big time. Yeah. We just want to support and resource people in holding up creative, collaborative communities.
Maybe best way to find
We do
music?
Instagram, Facebook, Google, Garden Music Aotearoa.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just be hanging out in your backyard.
Ooh,
Not in my backyard.
not even.
Sorry. Probably in my backyard because, yeah.
Oh, great, guys. Fuck, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was a cool chat. We can
great.
go for hours, but that's good.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it. And we really appreciate the mahi that you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's massive. The Coromandel magazine, the podcast, everything. It is, I think, crucial to Coromandel community and our creative community at large.
Yeah, and
Massive.
Corrosive Moses.
And Corrosive Moses. Corrosive Moses is also in that process of recording and not releasing it, you know. But we got a plan. We're just a bit sluggish. But we're getting there.
Yeah, do an ASMR album.
I know, right? So I'm going to keep saying because apparently it's working. So my idea is the offensive ASMR. I've put it out for like, yeah, so it's like, hey, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm in. I'm sold.
Find something better to do. Go read a book.
That might be the
Is it
motivation
good?
I've needed.
Yes. Cool. I think I got like 5 years from people before someone steals my idea. I should start.
Yeah.
Offensive ASMR.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's all I need.
Thanks for supporting.
Yeah, we can do a celebratory yardie after this of Fanta.
Sounds good, you fucker.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna work.
I'm a naughty boy.
But it's all friendly. Guys, thank you so much. We really want to collaborate more. We really want to do more cool stuff with you guys. We love people who think alike and got the same vibe. So we know that you guys are doing heaps, we're doing heaps, but then we will meet at that beautiful space and something massive will come up, we can tell. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Let's do some gigs.
Let's do some gigs.
Do some gigs.
Yeah, play for those drunk motherfuckers there.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out the Dix, Slumbug. Have you guys put out the new project or not yet?
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Cool,
Commodore
cool.
65.
Commodore 65. Watch this space. We'll bring some news for you guys. Maybe Coromandel will bring some good news for you guys. We'll see. And thank you so much for ALTBAYS Pizzeria for bringing some amazing Kai here for us tonight. How was that plant-based pizza?
Oh,
yeah,
big
the
shout outs to
kimchi.
the kimchi. Yeah.
Hey, kimchi in pizza. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And it was yummy.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So
pizza.
not just plant-based options. Henry from ALTBAYS Pizzeria is the man, top chef, catering for everyone. He makes some amazing burgers as well. So if you are coming to the Coromandel, make sure to check them out. Bays.fiti. That's the Instagram, and you find them on Facebook as well. We had them on the screen throughout the show. And we were talking about this beauty here, Coromandel magazine. We put it together with the community. Without the community, it wouldn't work. So if you want to read some cool, fresh, local stories, or if you are an artist and you want to be featured in the magazine, hit us up, hello@coromandel.nz. And if you are a cool business that can advertise and want to support us, that would be cool because it keeps us alive. It's a free magazine, so we appreciate the support of the community. Not a singer, drummer. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
I'll see you next time. We'll bring you back, eh?
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Thank you. See you guys next week. Kakite. Psh.